Ah, the one and only. We just started.
Cool.
Yeah, the one and only Quinton, Carlin. Thank you for joining me.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Happy to be here.
Thank you so much. Let me switch in Turkish first and then switch back in English.
Yeah, cool.
Merhaba arkadaşlar. Bugün Quinton Carlin'le beraberiz. Kendisi 35 ülkeden fazla ülkede seyahatte bulundu. Şu an Güney Kore'de İngilizce öğretmenliği yapıyor bir üniversitede. Ve kendisiyle nasıl gezilir? Bunları konuşacağız. Lütfen YouTube kanalımıza abone olun ve bizi desteklemeye devam edin. Biraz hastayım, kusura bakmayın bu arada. Yeah, we can go on.
All right, let's go.
Let's go. Man, let me first of all, when did you I want to get into it.
Sure.
When did you decide to travel and why? Can you talk a little bit about your story?
Yeah, sure, man. I mean, I grew up in Canada and I just never really liked the cold weather and long winters and stuff. And I always felt like I should have been born in a place like Australia or California. So when I was like 19, I had my first trip down to Mexico. And I was just like, man, I want to live in a place like this. So after that, I looked at some ways to be able to go and travel abroad. And I found out about like the working holiday visa that Australia has. So I actually went and I did a 1-year working holiday visa in Australia and just kind of got hooked and fell in love with like traveling and surfing and backpacking and meeting new people. And I've just kind of been going on from there. And it's been about 35 countries later and still enjoy, just discovering new places and people.
Man, wow, awesome. So, where are you currently right now, and what are you doing? What are you doing for a living?
Right. So I took a trip to Asia, and I was planning on being here for only about 6 months, and I've been here about 6 years. So
Wow.
plans kind of changed. But to be honest, it was just such a good balance here, where I'm a university professor at a college in a city that I live right on the beach. And the thing is, why I love it is that it's given me a lot of freedom to be able to travel for like 2 months during the winter. I have vacation, then 2 months in the summer. And, I was doing the whole digital nomad thing for a while, for like 3 years, from like 2007 to 2010 or 11-ish. And it was
really early, before Tim Ferriss write this book. You was a digital nomad.
Yeah. Like I was kind of back in doing it before like social media and everything, right? So that was really awesome. But at the same time, it was really kind of like lonely and weird because I'd be working from home in Vancouver, where all my friends had like office jobs and going to work and stuff like that. And I was just kind of like working from home, and I was like, well, this is it's cool, but I kind of lack meaning and connection. So I had an opportunity to help open a school out in Seoul, South Korea. And I was supposed to be there only for 6 months doing that. And then I got an offer to a pretty good contract at a university in Busan, which I like a lot more here. And I was just like, yeah, I'll ride this wave for a while. And it's really turned out a lot better situation than I could have imagined. So good.
Man, that's amazing story. And what have you experienced to find while you are traveling? Yeah.
Like I'm actually putting a book together about all these crazy travel experiences and stuff. And yeah, I mean, the experiences have been like some awesome, some super scary, some super dangerous. But still all life experiences regardless, So it's been a wild ride, man. It's been a wild ride for sure.
How did you overcome that fears?
Um, you know, to be honest, my mom always jokes that both the best thing and worst thing she ever did to me was there was this book when I was a kid. It was like my favorite book. It's called The Pokey Little Puppy. And
Uh-huh.
it's a story about this little dog who always wanted to go and explore and go on these adventures. And she thinks that because she read this book to me when I was young, it always made me want to go explore and go on adventures. And like Tintin, I don't know if you've ever heard of Tintin Adventures.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, really? Wow. Yeah. So I always love these kind of adventure books and travel
Uh-huh.
uh, things, and it just kind of took the fear out of it. I was just like, well, I'd rather have experience than regret, you know? So,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
We have one life.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I just came back from a restaurant here and for dinner, and there's like this little like clothing shop on the corner, and the name of the clothing shop was literally YOLO, like, and it's like you only live once. Like that's the name of a shop here. I was like, that's hilarious.
Wow.
But it's pretty true, man. Like I just want to do it all, you know? Like I just want to have as many experiences as possible, and that's got me in some trouble sometimes, but it's
Mhm.
also definitely made things not boring or mundane, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And how did you change yourself with traveling?
I mean, I did a TEDx talk about how basically the message was is that no matter where you're from or what you do, basically everyone is the same. You know, like you're in Turkey, I'm sure that you want to have a life where you have a good relationship with your family, you want to have a good, meaningful career, you want to
Mhm,
be healthy. You know, it doesn't matter what passport you have or what
mhm,
language you speak, everyone has the same basic desires and needs. And traveling really made me realize and see that, you know, it's just, even though we have different, maybe sometimes religious beliefs or political beliefs or skin colors, basically we're all brothers and sisters of the human race and of the world. So
mhm.
that's what really was the main thing I learned from it.
Yeah, exactly, man. It's so powerful. And you are in South Korea. Why did you choose to stay in Asia, especially in South Korea?
I mean, like I said, I was in Vancouver and I had a friend of mine that just came back from here. And then I met like the principal of this brand new international school. And we went out for dinner basically. And he was just like, hey, like, here's an offer.
Mhm.
Here's a plane ticket. Come on. And I was like, all right.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, basically they flew me out there. Well, that's a lot. Like that's the thing. Like if people want to teach abroad, you know, like schools, they treat you pretty well because they, you know, you're making a big sacrifice and they'll pay for your flight, they'll give you an apartment. Um,
Mhm,
so I just kind of looked at it as another experience that I wanted to try out. And you know, I looked at Japan and other countries. Um, but Korea is just more of a turnkey system here. You can probably
mhm,
save a lot more money than a lot of other countries as well.
mhm.
And yeah, people think it's super dangerous, but I'm like, man, like this is probably the safest country in the world. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
it's been fine.
yeah. And Jim Rohn says, "Welcome." You should say, "Welcome to all experiences," and you did that, and things become true, man.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that just never made any sense to me is people that just always say one day, you know, like, oh, one day I want
Yeah,
to do this, one day I want to do that. I'm like, dude, like you don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow, you know, like if you
yeah.
want to do it, there's no better time than now. You know, people are always like, oh, how did you do this or how to do that? Like, I'll give you the best example. Um,
Uh-huh.
so I went back home to visit a while back. This is a few years ago now, and I ran into like this girl I went to high school with, and she
Hmm.
was at the golf range where I was going golfing with my dad,
Hmm.
and I haven't seen her for years. I didn't even recognize her; she recognized me. And
Hmm.
she's like, oh wow, like you know, what have you been doing? And I'm like, well, listed off all these things, you know. Uh,
Hmm.
I was living in Australia, you
Yeah.
know, this and that. I'm in Asia now, doing
Mm-hmm.
stuff, and just kind of like telling her. And then I'm like, how about you? And she's like,
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've been working here for the last 10 years. And I was just like,
Oh my.
oh. And that's cool, like if people, but I could just see like defeat in her face, like she's just,
Yeah.
I mean, like I think it sometimes, like a lot of people
She
hate.
was shocked.
Well, I think that she was definitely made her realize, like, wow, like, and it's not just myself. Like, a lot of my friends have moved and traveled abroad and lived abroad and done all these different diverse things.
Uh,
Um, but I think that there's a lot of people that when they grow up, they never leave the neighborhood where they lived.
mhm.
Like they stayed in the same neighborhood, been at the same job for 10, 15 years, and they just never really went outside of their comfort zone that much. And some people don't want to, some people are just totally
Yeah.
comfortable with that. That's totally awesome.
Yeah.
But I think the problem is for people that wish that they did something else and wish that they tried something or took that risk. They're the ones that on their deathbed, they're going to be like, oh, I missed out, or they have this regret. And that's what I try and, empower people to do. Be like, look, man, it's just a decision. You know, all you need to do is literally just get a plane ticket and go and save up some cash and just stop spending money on probably shit you don't need anyway, and just save that and use that towards an experience. Like I would way rather buy an experience than buy like a fancy watch or something, like I'm more about
Yeah.
experiences than materialist stuff. So, like a lot of my friends have really nice houses back home and stuff. And, like that's awesome, but that's just not really, that doesn't really do it for me.
Yeah. It's all about lifestyle. Where you sitting, where you living, where you spending your money. All of that, I think, it's a lifestyle. And you as you told, you are working as an ESL professor. And I would like to ask, which other topics are you interested in?
Oh man, like I've got a whole bookcase here of books of topics I'm interested in. Like I'm really interested in spirituality and
Mhm,
religion. I'm really interested in health and wellness. I'm really
mhm.
interested in like finance and technology and business and just um, yeah, basically I'm more interested in all that stuff than what my job is. But the cool thing is like my contract is only 4 days a week, about 4 hours a day. So that gives me a lot of time to do other things.
Yeah.
That's why I really
So
like that's why I really like the work-life balance here for sure.
yeah, yeah, so cool. And I look at your YouTube channel, and you are talking about cryptocurrency, and you have consulting and coaching services. And I would like to ask about what do you think about crypto market in 2019? Are you still investing in crypto
Yeah,
or
that's a good
searching?
question. So I got introduced to Bitcoin around like January, like basically right around 2016, 2017, like um
Yeah, it was
when
so
like before the big run up. So I
yeah.
saw I saw it more of a solution because I was trying to actually buy land in the Philippines, and
Mhm,
instead of sending like a large transaction through a bank that had all these fees and it was going to take a long time, that's when my
mhm,
friend told me to send it through Bitcoin. And then I was like, oh wow, like that. I saw it more of like a solution to a problem than an investment. And I started looking
mhm,
at the investing side of things with all these other crypto coins and stuff. I'm like, wow, this is like a whole nother economy that not really too many people know about. But I saw
mhm,
the potential in it, and luckily got in before the masses did. And for
mhm.
2019, to answer your question, so yeah, like I spent 2017 like pretty much researching and wrote two books about it that I have in my course and my ebooks.
Yeah.
Um, so for 2019, man, I think that it was a ton of hype in 2017. Like it was just like it went gangbusters.
Mhm,
2018 obviously sucked and corrected, and the market really kind of came down a lot. 2019, I think that the ICO model is dead. I think that there's not going to be as many ICOs successfully raising like $30 million like they were doing like for a white paper.
yeah.
I'm going to see security tokens becoming a lot more common, but I really start seeing that the few blockchains, things like Neo, EOS, Some of the really solid projects are going to start to really need to build some applications and value on it before we can really see another big move in the industry.
Yeah, and I will put your ebooks in the comment section below.
Cool. I'll give you a tip. One of my really like best friends, like one of the smartest guys like out there. If people want to look into something that I think is going to be a really big deal, it's called TODA, TODA, TODA blockchain. He's this guy's been around since before blockchain. He's a cryptographer from like back in the day. Like he's as legit as they come. His name's Tufi Salbia, and his blockchain is called TODA, and they just released a documentary about it. So I think that's going to be a project for people to really, they'll hear more about in the future.
Wow. Yeah, I noted, and I will research it, man.
Yeah. Cool.
And which experiences are you sharing as a consultant or your coaching services?
Well, from 2007 to 2010, I was doing basically like business development, startups, and marketing. I got out of that. And to be honest, man, the thing that I'm doing now through my podcast is I just see so many people lacking meaning and connection, and that they have, like, my degree is actually in counseling and like pre-law conflict resolution. And I'm getting the most results for people who just want someone to talk to. You know, I don't really like the term life coach, but just being somewhere there to support someone that's going through challenges, like basically like a counselor, is kind of what I'm really focusing a lot of my extra time in assisting people with, because so many people have so much baggage from life. You know, like people are just so mentally screwed up. Like I just it's unbelievable.
Procrastinating everything,
stress, addiction's huge, anxiety. I see people that just have trauma, like deep trauma from family dynamics, and you know, like it's something that people are ashamed to talk about. You know, one of my friends just posted a very, very courageous thing on Facebook like yesterday, and talked about how he was molested when he was young and how he's been suicidal ever since. And this is like a super successful businessman that you would have no idea that he's carrying around these demons, but he's been in therapy and trying to work it out. And the best thing that people can do is have someone that's been through challenges and that can relate and support them through it. And for me, I just love hearing people's stories and featuring people that are going through things on my podcast. And then I do one-on-ones as well with people. So that's kind of where the direction I'm going in now moving forward.
Yeah, it's so valuable, man. And I remember Will Smith says, everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody wants something, but do not anything about it.
Right. Well, the thing is too is that talking about heaven is that all these people have this goal of earthly success. Like, I want this car, I want this house, I want this partner, this husband or wife, or I want the bank account. But you know what? None of this stuff matters when you die. Like, I don't know what your religious beliefs are, but for me, I believe in heaven and hell, and the way you live here will determine where you spend eternity. And no one is talking about that. And that's like the biggest, most important thing about life. That's like my mom always says, the meaning of life is preparing for death. You know? It's insane how we're so conditioned to just not even pay attention to that for the most part. You know, like it's
man.
Maybe I'm getting older, but it's definitely becoming more of a priority to reflect on that and be aware of that.
Yeah, I'm agree with you. We will come and go in this earth. We will die one day. So we have to be aware of that.
Well, there's one verse that really stands out to me, and I thought of it yesterday because I saw this nun, like this little skinny old nun walking down the path going to the church that I go. And I'm like, you know what? There's a verse that says, "He who is first will be last, and who is last shall be first," which basically says the people that are like the most important in society's views of success and wealth and celebrityism on
Hmm.
earth
Hmm.
in the next life of, the evolution of heaven or hell,
Hmm.
the people that are the most humble, servant driven lives, like the people that are the monks or the priests or the nuns or the people that are donating and helping the sick and homeless, like people that are just living their life of service, they're going to
Yeah.
be the ones that have the highest status, like in for eternity, and it just makes me think, I'm like, man, this perspection of what success really is so backwards here.
Yeah, man, it's so true. We forget this, reality. Yeah, I really agree with. I'm Muslim, and I really agree with you. And people live like it's like endless.
Yeah.
They just, focusing on making money or, having a good car or what a house or traveling or whatever.
Right.
And they forget they will die one day and what's gonna happen after that. They
Yeah.
don't think anything about it.
Yeah, man, it's like it's did you ever watch that movie called The Usual Suspects with Kevin Spacey?
No.
No, it's like a really popular movie back in the day, and the last line in the movie basically says the biggest trick the devil ever played was to convince the world that he doesn't exist. You know, like
Oh, yeah.
like the biggest con out there is that he is just kind of pulled a blanket over everyone's eyes that
Yeah.
make them not even think of him as a reality, like so people are just so caught up with everything else besides the most important things in life is, what's going to happen after you die. And it's just something that
Yeah.
people don't really talk about or think about. Well, they probably think about it, but it's not really like a dinner table conversation at a house party where people kind of start, talking about these philosophical,
Yeah.
ideas and real religions during dinner. But for me, there's nothing more important to talk about and think about.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so that's cool, man. So yeah, I spent a lot of time in the Middle East and met a lot of Muslims there, and it's really uh yeah, like it's such a shame because I actually found out when I was 26. I was raised Catholic my whole life, and then when I was
Hmm.
20, when I was 26, I found out my mother's mother died when she was very young, so she didn't really know the family dynamics on her side of her mother. And she
Hmm.
found out at a funeral, like, when she was in her 60s, that there's Jewish heritage there.
Hmm.
So, like, that's a pretty big shock to be in her 60s to find out that her family dynamics is
Wow.
has Jewish background. So I ended up going to the Middle East, and then when I was there, I traveled through like Egypt and Sinai and Jordan and all these Muslim countries and
Hmm.
territories, and
Uh-huh.
I was just like, man, like I know the history between Muslims and Jewish is obviously super
Yes.
super
Hmm.
conflicted and intense and strained. But at the end of the
Hmm.
day, just like I said earlier, like that's what my TED Talk was about. I talked about Israel and how Muslims and Jewish
Hmm.
people, at the end of the day, they just still want the best for their families and they have their
Yes.
religious beliefs. But why would you
Yes.
kill somebody over that? Like it's really sad that.
Yeah, man, you really said I'm working as a food engineer and we are producing fruit juice concentrate, and grapefruit juice concentrate is very holy for Jewish people. They are coming our factory and they are operating the machines. That's so I have a lot of Jewish people. I have a lot of connection with Jewish people,
Yeah.
and when I met them, we have lots of similarities. Muslims and Jewish people has lots of similarities.
Yeah.
And when I realized I was wow, what how can it be? Because we don't know each other before. I was like, yeah, Jewish people like that, and they are killing the Muslims and etc.
Mm.
When I know each other, man, we are like same. It's blow my mind, and they
Yeah.
are really, yeah, man. They are really really special lifestyles. They are, sharing their time one day per week. They are sharing time for family.
Right. The Sabbath. Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's so special, and I realized we have to know each other, and we can love each other if we know each other.
Well, I'll tell you this story. When I was 24, yeah, when I was 24, I was basically a foster father for two Muslim boys.
Hmm.
So I worked with a social service agency back in Canada,
Hmm.
and there was this huge court case going on where a family came over from, I think it was Iran or Iraq, and
Hmm.
the father and the oldest brother of this family actually stoned their sister to death because of violating some of the Muslim. Details were never released, but there was a murder
Uh-huh.
case within a family. So
Whoa.
all the other children, there's about six of them, got put into foster care. And I was a youth worker and support worker that basically for about 4 days a week, I
Uh-huh.
basically lived with these two kids, and
Hmm.
they were Muslim, and I just remember hearing just like what life was like. And this one kid said that he like during some kind of rebellion or some kind of um, I don't know, something. He ended up killing a guy back in Iraq. Like,
Yeah.
kids are going to war and going to these political things with like guns and stuff. I'm like, that's just I couldn't fathom that. This kid was like 14 or 13 or something at the time.
Mm.
And yeah, man, like I just saw these kids. It's just like kind of like my own almost, like I was with them for 2 years.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, man.
and just like we didn't really talk about the religious or faith stuff, but we were just like had this connection of just being people trying to make things work.
Yeah.
How we all are.
Yeah, exactly, man. As I want to ask a last question about where is your perfect destination for digital nomads and why?
Well, I'm flying there in about a week and a half, in about 2 weeks actually. Bali, Indonesia.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome, man. Like there's a huge community of online entrepreneurs working there, and it's just super cheap to live. Like I look at the rent there. You could rent out like your own private villa with like a
Uh-huh.
pool, your own pool and stuff for like $500 a month. Like it's crazy.
Wow. Yeah.
Where in Vancouver you can't even get an apartment downtown for $2,000. Like so
Yeah.
as far as value, and the lifestyle, I think Bali is definitely number one on my list. That's why I'm
Uh,
going back for my third time, and I'm a surfer, so obviously I love the waves and
uh-huh.
everything there. But it's just like a really healthy, like I don't drink,
Mhm.
basically, and like it's
Mhm.
just a really healthy, organic living, zened out.
Yeah.
Lifestyle.
Avocados over there.
Yeah, I mean, every day you have like your fruit smoothies and stuff, and coconut water, and um,
Yeah.
really good like organic salads and stuff. It's just like a really healthy, wholesome place.
What what about your goals in 2019?
Yeah, man. The last couple of days I've really been kind of struggling. Like it's the 2nd of January now, and I was kind of like trying to think what I really want to do. And
Hmm.
I've been listening to all these other podcasts, and I'm like, you know what? To be honest, I don't really have goals to do anything. The thing
Hmm.
that I want to be more conscious of is just myself being, like just
Hmm.
being happy, being healthy, being, in a good emotional state. and not so much of a roller coaster, because my life has basically been a huge, massive roller coaster. And I just want to
Uh-huh.
balance out, you know, like I just want to, you know, really focus more on spirituality and my faith and my meditations and just my mental health, basically.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. It's constantly. That's is it true? Constantly,
Oh,
you will
consistently, consistently.
consistently you
Yeah.
will live the life.
I mean, yeah, like I'm just reprioritizing things, you know, like the things that I thought that I used to think are important are just getting less and less, and there's other things that I never really focused that much on. Maybe I'm getting older, um, but
Mhm.
or hopefully wiser. Um,
Man, you are like 25.
well,
I mean, yeah.
I'm actually 38, so
Whoa.
yeah, yeah. I still feel 25 sometimes until I wake up in the morning and I'm sore and
Uh-huh.
tired and stuff. But yeah, I mean, like I've been really blessed for sure to be just you know, I have no regrets for the most
Yeah.
part.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, that's kind of my long story short.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your time with me and my channel, especially. I'm so happy to share with your time. And yeah, man.
How about you? Can I
That's-
ask you what do you have lined up for 2019?
Oh, um, I will quit my job and build my business about education. We will consulting. We will build a consulting business about learning English abroad.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we will send the students to England, Canada, America,
Wow.
Ireland, Dublin. Yeah, we would like to do that, and then I will build my online business, like social media agency or whatever it is. I will figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
That's really interesting. So you're sending students to universities or like these private, I guess.
And one of my friends buy the Sam Owens course. Do you know? Consulting
Yeah,
Accelerator.
yeah. I know Sam Evans. Yeah, yeah. That guy's a
Yeah,
beast. Yeah.
yeah. And now he's earning $15,000 per month with consulting dentists about social media. He's living in Indiana.
Oh, really? So,
Yeah,
so,
man.
so this is like a Turkish guy or a American guy that's
Turkish
doing?
Turkish guy.
Yeah.
He went to America for living, and then he realized the market, and he buy the Sam Owens course.
Hmm.
Before he buy Tai Lopez's course.
Social media
Uh,
agency.
yeah, exactly. But I will send the link. He's explaining the revolution, changing himself and earning money like crazy, man.
Well, that's the thing, man. Like that's where it's going, you know, like to be able to learn like those I think Sam's course is like what, 2 grand or something.
Yeah, 2 grand.
Yeah, Sam's course is 2 grand, and I think Ty's was about 1,000. And
Hmm.
that's it right there. $3,000, you have a
Yeah,
career. You know, you've got a business, you've got a career, and you're making way more than anybody else that goes through $100,000 of university and
yeah,
4 years without and then not getting a job or just getting some, you know, entry level, you know, position. And like this is the future, you know, it's the future,
yes,
adding more value to
exactly.
society, finding your niches, and just building out automated systems and stuff. So that's awesome, man. Like I was looking at that program of Sam's. Um,
Hmm.
I've chatted with him just through Instagram a couple times,
Hmm.
but yeah, he's the real deal, man. That guy's. But here's the thing too, you know, like for people watching, Sam
Hmm.
struggled for years, You know, Sam
Yes.
struggled for years and years before he made this work. So,
Yes.
you know, like another friend of mine who's like got a big YouTube channel, you know, who's super, super big now, Stephen James. He's from Vancouver as well.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Is he your friend?
Yeah, we grew up in the same neighborhood, man, like basically in
Wow,
Vancouver.
man.
So like the thing that's funny is that I remember when he was literally sleeping on another friend's couch, and then he went to Thailand because
Yes.
Thailand was way cheaper to live. So he went to Thailand for like 3 months, and then did his Kindle Money Mastery program and started
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
Kindle publishing, and then he just built from there. Now he just made $4.5 million this year, man. He made
Yeah, man.
$4.5 million this year. But he's
Oh,
been
oh,
doing this for he's been doing this for a decade, you know.
yeah.
And people, you know, he just recently gotten really popular on YouTube the last couple of years, but he's been
Mm-hmm.
doing it for 10, you know.
Wow. Yeah.
So that's the thing. There's no overnight
That's
successes.
yeah, man. It's we don't have to now, we don't have to give up and do it before like I mean, we if we want to achieve it,
Hmm.
we has to do, yeah, man. Wow, oh,
Well,
yeah,
well,
Stephen James. I
yeah, yeah,
watched lots of video about James.
yeah. And the thing with Stefan is he's just like a real authentic guy. Like he really cares about people. He practices what he preaches. He's super dedicated, super consistent, and
Hmm.
he's just a really nice, humble guy. You know, like I said, I've known him for over 10 years, and
Hmm.
it's awesome. It's awesome to see what he's done. But at the
Yeah.
same time, for people watching, don't think you need to make $4.5 million to be happy. You know, like you could literally go to Bali and live
Hmm.
like a king on $2,000 a month. Like if you're making $2,000 a month online, you could go
Hmm.
live in Bali and be totally set. You know, like it's
Yeah.
you don't have to think in like six figures, seven figures.
Yeah.
You don't need that much, man. Like I don't even make that much money, and the thing that
Uh-huh.
why I'm living here is because um, I'm living on the beach, but it's a fraction of what I was paying in Vancouver to live on the beach
Yeah.
there. You know, like you just need to be smart, and that's what I teach in the Money Hacks course. It's just being
Hmm.
conscious of what you spend your money on and how
Yeah.
to be smart about it and be aware of what you spend. Like
Yeah.
don't take a taxi, take the subway. Just simple things like that, like
Yeah,
just
exactly.
little things like that.
Life is about how much you make. It's not about how much you making. It's about how much you keeping.
Yeah, exactly. And that's not even what life's about. That's what money's about. Life is more about like how are you living? Are you happy? Because there's a ton of super rich people out there. One of my YouTube videos has like 100,000 about 100,000 views, and basically the message was when I was in the Philippines and I was talking about how, you know, people don't need a lot of money to be happy because in a place like the Philippines where I think the average monthly income is about $200 a month, they're the
Yeah.
happiest people in the world, man. Like their families are legit, their relationships within their families, there's no divorces, there's no suicide, there's no depression there. Everyone's super happy and well connected, and they're living off nothing. Where you look at some place like New York, where people have like $20,000 penthouses and drive BMWs, and they're doing cocaine every day and
Yeah.
depressed and on like it's totally relative.
Yeah, man, exactly. Um, it's not about how much you're making or how much you're spending. It's all about how you living, how you sharing your good memories and sharing value to other people.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like there's studies that show that if you make an extra $10,000 a year, your happiness doesn't go up. Like for people that are covered their basic needs, like if you have your rent covered, you've got your food, your necessities. If you make an extra $10,000 that
Uh-huh.
year, your happiness level doesn't go up at all. Like it's just
Yeah,
it's
it's proven.
yeah. So that's cool, man. I think that people need to start putting more emphasis on their mental well-being more than their financial well-being.
Yeah,
You think?
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you for sharing your time.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. My pleasure. It's awesome to connect, and yeah, I mean, like if people want to learn more, they can check me out. I'm pretty active on Instagram and stuff, and like I
Uh-huh.
said, the podcast and YouTube channel
Putting
is
in the description below.
yeah. So that's that. Happy to connect with anyone, and it's really cool what you're doing, and yeah, I'm interested to hear how your e-learning stuff goes, man. I think that's going to be a really good market.
Yeah, I'm waiting for your course, man.
Oh yeah, well, I'm literally putting it out and putting it together as we speak here. So hopefully within that's my goal for the month to get that out.
Uh-huh. Let's see, man.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, awesome, man. Well, happy New Year, everyone, for tuning in, and definitely, you know, there's the one last thing I'll say is people overestimate what they can do in a year and they underestimate what they can do in the next 5 or 10 years, So, don't put all your eggs into this one 2019, but just slowly chip away at it like guys like Stefan and Sam Ovens
Yeah,
and stuff and just, constantly do what you need to do every day and you'll be happy
yeah.
with where you're at in the next few years.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. And we have to apply all these great things in 2019.
Yeah, that's the plan, man. That's the plan. Well, thanks for reaching out to me and inviting me on your show and
Uh-huh.
look forward to staying in touch.
Yeah, keep in touch, man.
For sure. See you guys.
Good night.
Yeah, bye.
See you. Bye.